Welcome to Trading the Gap, everybody. If you're new, it's good to have you. If you're returning, welcome back. My name is Mal, and on this channel, we talk about stock trading, primarily trading the gap. That's why the channel is named Trading the Gap. The gap occurs in the stock market as a result of some kind of news or some kind of catalyst in the news, something to do with hype. A lot of times it can be as a result of some kind of a social media post or news related items. So here I'm looking at the chart of Tesla, and I wanted to begin here. So this is just a regular 1-day stock chart for Friday. I'm recording this video on Saturday, so this was actually yesterday's. I would think everyone pretty much has a good idea of how to find this. You just go to Google, type in Tesla stock, or the NASDAQ symbol here is TSLA. So you type this in, it'll come up with stock. Now this just shows a random line graph as far as what happened, and you see the fluctuations on the price. And so it's giving you the current price, current market value here. It's giving you yesterday's close, and you can kind of see what happened after hours. This gray bar here is mostly after hours trading. People that can't trade during the day, or they like to hold their positions overnight, they kind of trade this. So as a stock trader, you wouldn't be able to trade this line graph because there's just not enough information here. Although it does give you like a daily and a 5-day, right? So you can look what's happened to the price in 5-day period, or you can go to monthly here or yearly. And this is really good if you are an investor, right? If you know how to look at a company, how to dig into its financials, and I guess the word I'm looking for is find undervalued stock. So if you're interested in investing, if you're a long-term investor and you want to hold a company for 2 years, 5 years, or longer, 10 years, some people like to find undervalued stocks and invest in the long term. So if you're an investor, you're looking at something like this. But for us traders, I would not be looking at a yearly chart. I would primarily be looking at the daily and the intraday. I mostly trade 1 and 2 minute setups, sometimes on the 5-minute setup as well, 5-minute chart. And we'll dig into that a little bit later. So go into the daily here. This doesn't really tell us a whole lot of information, right? We've covered that. So a little bit later on, I want to look at the actual candlestick chart of Tesla on Thinkorswim, which is the platform that I use to trade. But I wanted to talk real quick a little bit about the news. Tesla hit the news this week, and this is on CNBC. Federal agency looking into Tesla driver complaints of sudden unintended acceleration. So it looks like there's a petition going around, and the petition includes 127 complaints of Tesla vehicles suddenly accelerating. These complaints allege that unintended acceleration of Tesla electric vehicles may have contributed or caused 110 crashes and 52 injuries as a result. So that is not very good news for Tesla. My voice is raspy this morning. I've been a little under the weather. It's winter time, it's cold out, and everybody around me is getting sick. And even though I've tried not to, it's still rubbing off a little bit. So if you're hearing my voice is raspy, I apologize. But I still wanted to bring you some good information and wanted to talk a little bit about what's happening. So this is actually not very good news for Tesla, right? And I want to see how the market actually reacted. So if we switch back to Tesla stock, and I'll go to the 5-day here. The 1-day didn't look like it reacted too much. We opened at 507.46, pushed up to 515, and then it's kind of trickled down after that. So we actually broke below the open, and then looks like people seen value right here, and bought the dip, and then it went up a little bit again. But But for the most part, the stock went sideways all day. And if we go out to the 5-day, not really. Yeah, it went from a high of 543.76, and we've pulled back a little bit to just under 500, and it's sitting roughly around the 510, 505 area here. So I don't know if this dip here, right? So this is January 14th, and we can go from January 14th. So this is a 9% decrease in 5 days. But Tesla stock is very volatile to begin with. I personally do not invest in Tesla. I'll trade it if there's news on it, but I do not invest in Tesla. I am very tempted. I was very tempted when the stock was at 380, and this wasn't very long ago. I think in the past 2 weeks it shot up here, December 18th, so 393. So mid-December, it was right around 393, and then it just basically skyrocketed. So yeah, right around here is when I was looking at it, 380 or so. And it looks like it's been about a month. So in a month, we have had an incredible. I mean, this is crazy. 41% to the high, 33% currently. If there was a pullback, my issue here, there was no pullback on the 400, right? I was waiting for a pullback or a retracement from the high, which was 430 at the time, down to 400, and it never really made it that low. It stopped at 414.70, so I just wanted to stay out of it. But let's load up Thinkorswim, and we're gonna take a look at the candlestick charts and see what they tell us. See if we can get a little bit more information about this. Okay, we are back. This is the daily chart of Tesla. You can see that up here. I'm using a Thinkorswim platform, so the time frames you can select are up here. And if I click this, it'll give me an option, right? Weekly is way too long to trade, but you can break it down 4 hour, 1 hour. And right now I'm on the daily, and I primarily trade 1 minute, 2 minute, and 5 minute setups. So if you're looking at all these lines and wondering what these lines are, these are my old support and resistance lines from when I was trading. So I can just delete these and start fresh. If you don't know what support and or resistance lines are, areas are, I'll go over that a little bit here and also in my later videos. But this basically just shows the flow of price, right? And you can tell. So if the stock is going from the bottom left to the top right, then the stock is bullish. And if it's going from the top left to the bottom right, we're bearish. So again, if it's going from the bottom left to the top right, it's bullish. And if it's going from the top left to the bottom right, it's bearish. So this is clearly a very bullish chart. And you can tell if you draw a line, we started right around here, and this line just goes pretty much straight up. So this is very, very bullish chart here. So looking on the daily, first thing I see is I see some resistance right here, and resistance turns support. So the stock came up from here, right up here, found some resistance. Buyers took a little break. We had a small pullback. Then we broke through that resistance to a high of about 360. Then as we pulled back, previous resistance now turns support. We found support because let's take a look at this a little bit closer. We found support. All right. So here's a zoomed in view, and here we go. There's actually a nice gap here. Don't mind this dotted white line. This is the VWAP, right? This is the volume weighted average price line. I'll talk about that a little bit more in my later videos. That's a little bit more advanced, but primarily you see this gap. So we close here. It gaps up because of some kind of news came out, and it doesn't matter what the news is. We just know that there's a news that's acting as a catalyst for the stock, and this is what we're looking for to trade. Now, it could be a tweet from Elon himself. It could be positive news. It could be earnings. Could be Tesla Cybertruck hype. Anything to do with some kind of positive news or hype involving Tesla, right? So we came up here, hit resistance, pulled back, broke through, hitting a high of 360. Looks like right about 361 here. Then we pulled back into the same line of structure into resistance. Old resistance now turns into support. Came up from the resistance, up a little bit, back down, creating what's known as a double bottom. And to the moon we went, right? So this is where we currently are. This is an extremely strong bull run. So I would not be surprised to see a further retracement from currently right down to about a 50% here, right to about somewhere around this 460 area. If it gets down to right about this area here, then I would fully expect the stock to bounce once more and continue going higher, primarily because of this pivot, right? So stock comes up. Let me get rid of some of these lines here. So the stock comes up, turns around, right? Pivots, pulls back a little bit, and then to the moon. If I remove some of these lines, you could see a very clear breakout pattern. Let's just go ahead and do that. You could see a very clear breakout right here on this green candle here, right? Where this line is, that is known as a breakout pattern. So this is primarily what I trade. And if you trade the daily chart, this would have been a good trade to take. So your entry would have been right here above this green candle. Aggressive stop goes here. Conservative stop goes here. So there's two different ways of trading this. If you're super aggressive, you can put your stop right here. If you're conservative, you can put your stop here. And then what I usually do is I go right down here to Fibonacci retracements. I have it custom set up. So my stop, my entry, and there's your 2-to-1 target. This is how I trade it. And what we can do is we can make this green. I have it white because I like the way it looks, but we can make this green. And this should be red. So here's my white. Okay, let's delete these lines. This for a second. All right, so the green represents the entry. The red represents your stop loss, which we'll talk about in later videos. And my target would be right around 2-to-1, meaning I'm risking from here to here. Let's make this red. And my reward is from here to here, and we'll make this green. And this is what the trade would look like. Let's go down to the intraday time frame so we can talk about the gap and primarily what I look for while I trade. Going back to the Tesla news here, this was published January 17th, talking about the 127 petitions of complaints filed because of unintended acceleration of Tesla electric vehicles. And I'm sure there's going to be an investigation, and there are proper people that look into this. As a trader, I'm not really focused on what the news says. I'm primarily focused on how the market reacts to the news. So seeing this article came out on January 17th, let's look to see how the market actually reacted to this news, whether it be positive or negative. We're back on my Thinkorswim on January 17th. So looking at this chart, I can tell that the day was basically flat. So here's the open. This gray area is a pre-market area. This is the daily trading area, and then the gray after the day is the post market, right? So you have people trading, some in the pre-market, some in the post market, but the majority of trading happens during the day. So it looks like, let's zoom in and take a look. So it looks like we opened right here. This was roughly 507.41 is where we opened. We pushed all the way up to 512. So we got almost actually that's over a $5 run. 507.31. Yeah, we got over $5 on this one 5-minute candle. So in 5 minutes, the price of the stock went over $5. We had a little bit of profit taken from the top of this wick here to this is where the candle closed. There was not much profit taken at all. I mean, this is what 512.56 down to 512.13. So we had 43 cents of profit taken, and then more bulls stepped up and pushed the price way up. And then we kind of sold off. So on a 5-minute chart, there's really not a whole lot here. But what we can do is we can come up here on Thinkorswim, click the 5-minute time frame, and I have it set on the 1 minute. This is my favorite time frame, 1 and the 2 minute. So now you can tell there are 5 1-minute candles in every 5-minute candle. Makes sense, right? A candle forms every 1 minute on the 1-minute chart. On the 2-minute chart, a candle closes every 2 minutes. So now we can kind of see a little bit. So let me delete this line here and I'll show you. This is not a gap, by the way, from the previous day. There is no gap in price. So if we scroll back, the previous day looks like we closed at 513.56. So it's a slight gap down, but not enough for me to trade. It's pretty much a flat open. So if I was to trade this as a breakout, this is not a gap, but this is a breakout trade. I would let this candle open, let this 1-minute candle open, right? This topping tail right here symbolizes that there's a lot of profit taken. Buyers pushed it all the way up to here, and then profit takers, right, and then took their money. They took their money and got out, so the price got pushed down here. So this topping tail actually shows me weakness in the buyer side, right? Followed by a doji. This is called a doji, where every candle is a struggle of for balance of power, right? Do the buyers have control or do the sellers have control? This is indecision. This is known as a doji. See these topping tails? It's not a clear sign. The candle is green, so the buyers were a little stronger than the sellers. But for the most part, it's indecision. It might as well not have a body at all. And doji just means indecision. And the next candle is red. So I would let these candles open up. So where we would be looking to trade, right? Here we go. Where's the breakout pattern? The break of this top right here. So I would be getting in on this green candle right there. This white line is the break, and this is what I would trade. So I would actually, let's go back to the Fibonacci. We'll grab this. My stop would go right down here under this candle, and my entry would be here. So as you can see here, we never hit the 2-to-1, but it was close. So depending on your management style, there are multiple ways of trading this. You might manage a trade differently than somebody else. And this took me the longest time to figure out what trading style and what management style fit me the best and fit my personality the most. I want to actually show you a nice gap. See, this is not a gap. It closed here and then we open a little bit higher. So there's not really much there. So let's scroll back. I know there's a gap on Tesla. By the way, the easiest way to find a gap is on the daily chart. So if we go back out to the daily again, we zoom in a little bit. Let me hide the VWAP. So see this empty space here? This is a great gap. And there are lots of gaps. So there's a gap from here to here. There's also a gap from here. And then the next candle, the next day, opened here and sold off. So that's another gap. There are lots of little gaps in between, right? There's one from here, from this candle to the open of this candle here. So there's a gap, there's a gap. Okay, you get the idea, right? This is a very good gap right here. So we actually this small doji day was basically indecision. We don't know if we go up or down. And we'll talk more a little bit about dojis and order entries and things like that in the later videos. But I want to give you an idea of what we're looking for, and we're looking for a gap. So we come up, right? We have lots of strength. We have 1, 2, 3. Let me get rid of this. We have 1, 2, 3 green candles in a row, followed by a red candle, some profit taking, followed by indecision. We don't know if buyers or sellers are in control. No one knows if we're going higher or lower. On December 10th, we closed right here. And then on December 13th, we opened right here. So let's look at December 13th on the intraday chart and see what it looks like. So we're going back to the 5-minute time frame. Okay, so here we go. This is the 5-minute time frame. You can see right up here. On December 10th, we closed at 477.69. And then on the 13th, we actually opened at 493. So that's quite a nice gap. That's almost a $20 move. And almost instantly, look at this first green candle. Now, if you wanna sit out on this, that's okay. Let the candle form. You wait 5 minutes, right? The buyers push the price of the stock up quite a bit. It retraces to about 50% of this green candle. So we have a 50% retracement. And then our breakout happens right here. So you could definitely get in if you were trading on the 5-minute time frame. There's a great trade right here. So let's go back to the Fibonacci. Our stop goes either below this candle or below the low of the retracement. So here's your stop. Here's your entry. And up we go. And look how high look how high it went. But your 2-to-1 target was here. If you're taking multiple targets, your first target was here. Your stop goes to break even. And your second target was right here. By the way, there was another breakout here, which didn't break very well and pulled back. But you could have also, if you're feeling risky, you could have also got in right at the break of 520. So I hope you're starting to see the theme of these breakouts and these gaps. All right, so here's that same chart on the 1-minute time frame. So this market opens at 493 and some change. A little bit of profit taking happens right here, and then it rips right up to 498. So this is a $5 candle, right? 492 is the low. So almost $6 on this one candle. This tells you, see the close of this candle? The body is green and it's very large. That means the bulls are in control. The next candle comes in. It's almost a doji candle, but we have a little topping tail. And so sellers, this shows you sellers were not able to gain control, because if sellers were in control, it would be a huge red candle, right, engulfing the first green candle. So if we were to trade this, we would actually get in right here. Now, this is a very aggressive setup, which you could. And the market broke out, right? So we got from here to here, we got a small retracement, and then it rips all the way to 503.49, right? Then what does it do? It pulls right back in, right into structure here. and then it bounces higher. And right here, if you wanted to take this breakout again, here's a really good breakout right there. See this top? Your entry would have been right there. So there are opportunities for multiple entries. So I hope this was helpful. I'm going to stop it here. I don't want to go too long. I don't want this video to be overwhelming. But I hope it was helpful on how to read the market. And if this is a little too advanced, stay tuned. I will be uploading more videos and talking a little more about entries, VWAP, support and resistance lines. If any of this information was helpful to you, subscribing and hitting the like button will let the YouTube algorithm know that there's quality content in this video. If you'd like to see this video get recommended to more people, leaving a comment will help the algorithm do that. Leave me a comment below. I plan on picking some similar themed comments and questions to talk about in my upcoming videos. That's all for now. I'll see you in my next video.